Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 735 North College Street here in Newburgh, located on the left side of the home. We're on kind of the front yard side of the fence right now. 3-inch ABS clean out, sticking right out of the ground. Now we're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is running. This looks like we're going to have a very long sewer line here, so I'm going to keep the camera ripping through the line here at a high rate of speed. I will bring it in slower. That's just to keep momentum up. I'm not sure yet if we've got a party line style line here, which is very common in Newburgh. I'm a little worried we were going to start seeing this stuff. So these long runs like this are often very prone to standing water issues. I can tell we've already gone through some of those spots already. Like right now we're in standing water. So we'll see how this thing looks when it fully drains. I have a lot of water going down the line right now, a bathtub and a sink to aid the camera getting out, so that can exaggerate the appearance of standing water. Oh, funky cast iron. Not expecting to see that. PVC. And we're going to go see where we are here. Alright, just located the camera head, and we've made it all the way into city responsibility. Right now we're about 3 feet into the road. And in Newburgh in general, your responsibility changes hands to the city at the right of way. So we surpassed city or into city responsibility now by probably a good 10 feet, maybe as much as 15 feet. So we're going to call it good there. Everything from this point on, in fact, we've already been into it now for 10-15 feet, is city responsibility. So we're going to let the line drain off here, and then we'll see how things are looking. Alrighty, we're going to start pulling back in here. There is still a little bit of water trickling to the line. It's drained off enough, and we may see water flowing periodically regardless. As my camera moves back through those bellied areas way behind the camera, it'll slosh water out of those areas and cause it to move down line. So this, whatever this cast iron is, has to be from some old home that used to exist here at some point. I'm very surprised that got utilized. You know, and sometimes that's part of the reason. These lines have got to be very expertly installed to avoid settling issues. And ideally, you want them purpose-built end-to-end, taking into account the difficulty in grading a line this long. And ideally, you really don't want to be using pre-existing pipe, because it may not be the home that used to be connected to it may have sat 40 feet from the road for all we know. Whereas this one sits much further back potentially, and in a lot of cases, you want the line diving in a different fashion. Anyway, cast iron there is doing its job. It's intact. Alright, so here's where we start getting back into, we're probably nearing the tail end of some of the standing water right now. Yeah, so this right here is about where the end of the belly is. You can see how the debris is building up there in ridges on the sidewall. So to be on the safe side here, some of these belly, it's hard when you get debris like this in the line. I'm going to push out to where the debris buildup ends. Because likely that belly persists up to that point. It just drains off to a very minor amount by that point. But you've got standing water all the way out to about 105 feet here. Alrighty, so we're at 4 foot 4 inches, and to minimize the obnoxious green paint, I don't want to put it on pavers. So if you walk along there, you're going to see where I shot a nice green dot in this space between the pavers where it's just gravel. 4 foot 4 inches deep is what I'm getting there. And you'll see that marking if you're standing at the main road looking into this property up the big driveway. It's about, if you're walking from the road up the driveway towards this house, it's about 2/3 up the side of the home that sits on the right side of the driveway closest to the roadway. You'll see a green dot in there. Anyway, like the standing water we're currently in right now, I mean, this is, 16th quarter inch. The hard part is when you get a line this long, it doesn't have any hard dives anywhere. The whole belly is, the whole line is dependent upon itself for grade. So if you try and fix, sadly, it's hard to fix parts of bellies. Got a little bit of a break there. Let me go right back into some more here. All right, right now we're at 4 foot 1 inches deep, so not a lot of difference between here and the bit of standing water there at around 105 feet. So again, I'm kind of doing my markings here in generalities. I mark the last point of standing water. When it comes to lines like this that are very, very gently graded, these are ones I usually refer to a repair company to assess to see how best to correct them. And the other option is if repairs are not done to correct the standing water, and I'm going to do some reviewing inside the house. I've got a really nasty light glare out here, I've got multiple umbrellas trying to shade my screen to see if I can catch any tie-ins. It's not uncommon to get party lines in Newburgh. The other options are maintenance cleaning from time to time to keep buildup down. Some of the depth of water here we're seeing is not ultra significant as it relates to the average belly, but when you've got 1/4 or 1/16 of an inch of water throughout a very long length of pipe, it can act very similar to a deeper belly that's a shorter length. So anyway, I'm going to do some level of review of this video at home. So just watch the report for what I recommend on there. Thus far, most of the standing water is hovering around the 1/16 to 1/4 inch mark. And and there are scenarios where I don't recommend repairs on stuff like this just because of the cost benefit scenario. Okay, so we are on a Y connection right here. So it does appear. So some of the tines I've seen there may indeed, I know I've seen at least 1 or 2. I don't know how many of them are cleanouts. I know some are. This Y connection right here, though, would generally suggest this is a shared line. So that's something to look into. I'm not entirely sure where that's coming from. I'll mark that. It might be the case that stuff getting built back behind this, either pre-existing or in the future, may be connected or will be connected to it. In that case, that becomes a shared line, and that may end up being an HOA situation. All right, I did put a Y marking down there. It's green. It's sitting straight out from the clean out. 2 foot 1 inches deep there. So if this ends up being a shared line, that would change my metrics on this a little bit. And This is one, I'm gonna do some reviewing at home to see how much of that standing water looks related to buildup in the line. Sometimes you get lines like this. I've done over 25,000 sewer scopes over my 15 years of doing this, and you know, sadly, these super long lines like this, they're very commonly going to have standing water in them. They have to be expertly installed to avoid that. And sometimes you're looking at cost benefit on these. If it's not a scenario where it's severe enough, it's not always worth it, in my opinion, to go regrading that much sewer pipe. Sometimes it makes more sense to do maintenance cleaning. But I would also try and look into whether or not this is an HOA scenario, or HOA responsibility from the shared part on. That Y connection, I don't know why else it would exist unless it is a shared sewer line. So hopefully I'll try and determine that by reviewing the video. Some of the tie-ins are hard to see out here in jet black pipe with all this sun. You know, if there's multiple tie-ins into that line there, it would come down to an HOA responsibility in a lot of cases. And if it's shared between multiple homes, honestly, it would probably make more sense to split costs on maintenance cleaning from time to time, have the line jetted out every 1 or 2 years, and to keep buildup down. The big thing on lines this length is try and keep your debris to proper stuff. Folded toilet paper, ideally. No grease wipes, paper towels, flushable wipes, you know, stuff that doesn't disintegrate easily. Everything that goes down a line, anything that goes down even a 50-foot line is going to stop part way down line, even more so on a line this length. It takes a while for debris to get from A to B in a scenario like this. So you want to try and make sure what is going down the line is stuff that's going to break down and disintegrate pretty easily. Otherwise, everything we just looked at there, all of it appears intact. But again, I am going to review the video, so watch the report. Normally, I finalize everything on the video. This is one of those ones I want to take a good look at home in better lighting, and then I'll determine, you know, just watch the report for what I recommend.